I'm going to start this meeting at 6:33. We're going to do a quick roll call to see who's here. After I say your name, please say you're here or present, or indicate that you're on the phone or on the Zoom. Tim Berniker's here. Allison Bryan.
Here.
Jack DiLorenzo. Liz Frazier. Todd Goff. Jeff Hartwell.
Here.
John McMahon.
Yep.
All right. There we have it. Let's see this agenda. I got to look at this thing.
Yeah, just we're working on, Jeff and I spoke today, so we're working on the minutes. So we should get those. We'll have those ready. We'll send them out since there's a bunch of them. We'll send them out a few days in advance so they can be read through and not rushed at the last minute. So
All right.
we'll
So
hold off on that.
pause on that. How about, all right, so project updates. 100 Sawyer Street. I think I can throw some information on that.
Yeah, and I sent you guys a list of, I don't know if I'm trying to, like, this is new to me here, so I'm sharing a screen. But I did send you guys a couple of things today. One of which, so I don't know if we want to go, that CPC proposal that we have. If I could figure out how to share this thing. I'm not seeing share screen on this, so I think it's a webinar, so I'm not too sure what the rules are. But Tim, I have the PDF in front of me. Do you want me to do it or do you have it in front of you too?
I can see it here. So you want to do the CPC request first, or you want to jump right to Sawyer Street CPC?
Yeah, let's do CPC because that covers 3 of the projects.
Okay.
And it's got pictures and everything that has all the good numbers on it.
Okay. Yeah. So these are going to be our requests to the Community Preservation Committee, asking for a little help on 3 projects that we've got going on. The first is the Beechwood basketball court. That has been untouched essentially since 2007, and it's showing its age. They did have to remove some trees that caused the court to crack. We did that last spring. And then we did make a couple of improvements ourselves by putting up some LED lights over there, and then put some lights on the backside to hit the Beechwood skating rink when that goes up after COVID. So we're proposing to renovate the court, and it's gonna cost us, including a DPW mandated. Yeah, so there's the photo there of what it looks like now. DPW mandated 25% contingency fee to take into account any overages or anything that maybe comes up in the process that we hadn't planned for, which we'll talk about when we get to 100 Sawyer. So I'll take it all in. It's going to cost around $70,000 with that 14.5 contingency, which, you know, the hope is we need to use 0 of that or very little of that. So, you know, it's hopefully it's around a $60,000 project.
It does have the initiative that Todd Goff mentioned about the opening up the fence line, you know, behind, let's see, back, I don't know if my pointer is visible, but where that black car is, electrical box is going to be open. So that'll free up people to sit outside the court. The teams could sit outside the court to play. And also, as you saw in that estimate, we are going to do a new electrical box because I am concerned about that box being so open up towards the court, somebody running into it. So part of that estimate was to move the electrical box into a safer location. So, and we would move the green benches that were used for Sawyer Street here down there, you know, for we got new benches here too. So any questions about Beechwood?
So all this work would be done by the DPW?
No, we'd actually, the 36,000 for resurface is IREA. The repainting of the courts is the company where, you know, New England Steel Coat. Backboards is the company that we're going to hire to do here. The fence is Armstrong Fence, and the electrical box is the electrical engineer. So there is multiple people working on this project. So it'll all be done professionally.
And this question will get sillier later on, I imagine. But so the contingency fee is DPW, even though they don't have any pieces of the construction?
Well, no, not for them necessarily. It's their advice, right? So, all right, so let's get into it. Let's get into it with 100 Sawyer. So part of the problem, part of the deal with 100 Sawyer, and if you know, yeah, this kind of deals with it here. If you get to, there was another separate PDF that was that Ted sent out that went along with this, and what wound up happening, it's in that same email.
Can you guys see this now?
Yes.
Okay. The new one, the new Sawyer Street budget. Is that visible?
I have something for, it says 77,443.
So Tim, this is the one you're talking about, right? With the new estimate?
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's essentially the other page kind of goes into greater detail about what we need to actually vote on tonight. But it's in essence, yeah, the current balance of this of the monies that we have in is 77,443. In terms of what we owe on that, okay, you've got the completed portions from IREA, completed portions of the poles, electric. The backboards are not in yet, as you probably know and have heard from many people in town, but that's going to happen in the spring. When you add those costs there, we were about $600 under that. We were $600 deficient, roughly. And from this year's virtual Thanks for Giving race, when we split it with the Clark Chatterton Fund, we wound up with about $600. So we were going to use that $600 to kind of to make up that difference, on that piece of it. Now here, this is kind of the page I was talking about. So if you note, this kind of combines the two things that we just talked about, where the electrical has been paid, the poles are done, the expenses to data were as such. These are your backboards. This is what the line painting is going to cost. So we're kind of like putting all this money in here. This is what it will look like to get the court going. This overage right here, where it says $4,903. This is where the so in the multiple meetings we had with the DPW, we kind of laid out what our bids were, sorry, not what our bids were, but we had gotten quotes from various vendors. Now this is REC doing this on their own. And then what the town said, well, we can't have just random commissions going out and getting their own bids. We need to centralize this in like a procurement office, and we're going to do that from the DPW. So it was up to the DPW to go and get the quotes from the various vendors, which they did in some cases. And the quotes that came back to us were supposedly firm. One of them, particularly for the backboards, that's one, the $14,500, that ballooned up by about, I don't know, $3,500 from what we had previously budgeted. And part of the reason for that was that it was a stale quote, and that no one had, the procurement office hadn't gone back and asked for an updated quote as we were getting closer to finishing the project. So that's kind of an issue there. And then this IREA overage, and so there's a bit of a bit of contention between the rec department and the DPW over a few things. The DPW insists that we never had a contingency budget, which they claim is part and parcel of every project that's done. It was never mentioned to us once in the multiple meetings we had about this. So we kind of are like, well, yeah, in hindsight, yeah, it sounds great because of the stuff that we found as we were going and digging up the old court and putting down the new court. So when IREA was finally all said and done, that number that they had quoted us, they were off by, there was an additional $4,900 that went towards the paving and siding of the court. So in total, as you'll see kind of as you go about 3/4 of the way down the page, in total, the difference here is like around $6,500 roughly, $6,498.95. And if you take into account the monies from the virtual road race and a donation to that road race from National Grid, even though the road race didn't actually happen, National Grid did give us $500. That $1,135 can be used to defray the difference there. That's $6,498. So what that leaves us with, we are light to finish this project $5,365.95.
So we should also thank Tim for this because that $200 is from Tim's donation as a sponsor also. But so the balances in our two accounts that we would take for this project is basketball, but that number there, I don't want to touch that because we do have some expenses that we need to pay for. So we do have some race money though. But I do need about 5 of that for pre-race to next August, September to, we need to get the race license. We need to pre-order t-shirts. There's even the cost for the race timer. We have that set aside right now. So, but we do have enough to cover. So just, and all we do right this year is just line the court. In the fall, after a season of basketball, we will try to paint the court the way we want to have it painted, or maybe next spring, once we get some money in. And also, like I said, we're trying to get CPC money to cover that. So maybe hopefully if we get the 25 from them, we don't have to do it. But just to be safe, just to have the money to start to get, obviously, we want to play basketball this spring, and I think we can. Other rec departments are running programs last summer. We'll make them wear masks this May, June, July. So we do need a vote tonight. For that to borrow to take from the race account that dollar amount, just so we can get the backboards up, line the court, and be ready for late May, early June for basketball season. So Tim, I don't know if you jump back to that cheat sheet, under voting procedure, we just have to have somebody.
Yeah. So is there any discussion on this this project?
Tim, can I just ask? So that DPW contingency thing. So it sounds like we didn't build that into this initially.
Correct.
And we're seeing some overages, which theoretically would have fallen under that, but we're dealing in real numbers here for the Beechwood one. It sounds like they want us to build that in up front. Okay,
that's right.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I probably misspoke. It's not them like saying, oh yeah, we have to take our, you have to grease us our 25%. It's not that. It's that they don't want a situation to happen like this, where if there's something that goes, sideways because of for whatever reason, it rains too much as they're doing it and they have to put more fill in or whatever it is. It's just the idea that you're supposed to build in a contingency, which is fine, lesson learned going forward. And that's why we've kind of been, if once we do go back to that CPC document, you'll see Milliken has a contingency built in, Beechwood has a contingency built in, because we don't want the same scenario to happen again and have us kind of twiddling our thumbs when a project could get done very easily if we had the money set aside.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And just one more quick one too. So, because I'm fascinated by this centralized procurement thing. So, included in that new mechanism is there oversight that would make that centralized procurement responsibility? Would they give them oversight for the thing like an area overage, or is that on then the individual kind of department project managers to deal with that? Did you guys get any sense of that when they were talking about the centralized procurement thing?
I'll let Tim answer that one.
So
it's not an easy one, I'm sure, and I don't want to bog us down, but I'm.
The problem comes in that the town would like it done this way. The town would like it to be everything happens through a central location, and that's it. In reality, what happens is DPW will go out and get one bid, and I'll give an example of the backboards. Of the backboards, we had asked, hey, have you done any more work on getting the backboards, the backboard estimates? And so a guy at the DPW got involved, the engineer, Jason Federico got involved, and made a call to the guy that we had already called to get this updated number, a year later, and got this, roughly 14.5 quote, and then contacted one other guy, but then the guy got COVID, and so he just kind of dropped it. He was just like, well, all right, so I guess we're all set. And so, the town would like it to be kind of clean and kind of like, okay, yep, this is how it's supposed to go. In practice, it hasn't really been that clean.
Okay. Yep.
There is somebody in town hall that's all about procurement. So there is oversight in that direction. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So Tim, do you want to look at that voting procedure thing and just
yeah. So okay. So if there's no more discussion on that, then can we have a motion to? Let's see. We need to. Let's see. So can we have a motion to take $5,363.95 from the Thanks for Giving race account in order to finish the Sawyer Street, to cover the overage in the Sawyer Street project?
I motion that we do that.
Okay. All those in, oh, sorry, any second?
I second it.
Okay, there's two. And all those in favor? Oh, sorry, no, because I can't see you, so I'm gonna have to ask you. Tim Bernica, aye. Allison Bryan?
Aye.
Jack DiLorenzo? No, okay. Liz and Todd are not here. Jeff Hartwell?
Aye.
John McMahon?
Aye.
Okay, great. Passes unanimously, 4-0. All right, great. Where's my agenda? What do we got next?
Oh, we can finish, let's see,
You want to keep going with the CPC? Yeah.
Here's, I think Sawyer Street, the numbers are a little different here because we didn't include the deficit for IREA. But as you see, our proposal for CPC is asking them for $12,000 to paint the court the way we want to paint it. And I'm glad Peter's on the call. Peter's here, so we are asking for $8,000 for tree replacement, which we hope to do along the side of the parking lot, and then with a contingency. So, that's the reason why our CPC request is for 25. That's ongoing right now.
Yep.
Let's see, and then we'll go back to, we did Beechwood. So here's Milliken, just to give a quick update. Tim, do you want to do it or want me to do it? Whatever you want to.
You're better versed in this one. Why don't you take this one?
Well, I got, it's funny. I think I checked the date. I think 2014 we started this project. So after 7 years, hopefully we'll see some light. There was some concern. Capital basically had nothing to spend, and then CPC wasn't too receptive when I presented this to them. So we were thinking about dropping the project, but Chris Senior says keep it on. So here's the fundings we have to date, still here. And then we got the bid quote for the modular unit, which might need to be rebid, but supposedly costs are getting lower on some aspects, so that's a good thing. We have the IREA 46,000, which I've actually asked for other quotes, but they've said that IREA is their main contractor, so they don't have to, which you guys can talk about that. But then we have costs for plumbing, heating, electrical, which I estimated, at I think about 10%. And then Jason Federico thinks because of this, the modular unit in IREA, all we need is 10% contingency. That's his thoughts. So we definitely need about 114.5. I wrote down here on the bottom that if we needed 25% contingency, we need another 44. We've talked about hitting up Cohasset High School athletics, hitting up youth lacrosse, and we will get, I got $5,000 from soccer this fall. We will get another $10,000 next spring from user fees for 5 and 5 for soccer and lacrosse. So we'll have another 15, going forward if we need it. So that's the request for CPC right now for Milliken. Talked to Michelle today. I included Tim and Jack on the email. I'm not too sure what she means about putting out the bid again as a full project. But right now, this is going to go to capital, go back to CPC, for this total. And Chris Senior wants this project done. Jeremy has made promises. He wants to get it done too. So that is where we stand with Milliken. So really no action required there. Beechwood we talked about. I know, Tim, do you want to jump to Peter while he's here, or do you want to talk?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, because we can always come back and talk about the rec center. Okay, so hey, Peter, if you want to introduce yourself and give us what you've got to say.
Sure. I'm Peter Pescatore. I'm chair of the Open Space and Recreation Committee. We recently, we finished up our 7-year plan 3 years ago. We're in the 3rd year, submitted it to the state. It's approved, fully approved. And we're working through the action items in a systematic way. We just completed Wheelwright, putting up all the signs in Wheelwright Park, which in this time of COVID, the activity in the park has doubled, with families using the park now because the trails are all marked. So we're fairly active on our agenda for action items, which brings me to why I'm here tonight. We have 4 objectives that we identified in the plan. The 3rd objective was to improve recreational opportunities in the town. Since you're the Rec Commission and we're the Open Space and Rec Committee, I thought this was the best place to see if I can get you to support the initiatives that the Open Space and Rec has started. I've got 2 fairly large projects that we're going to try to accomplish with your help, I hope. The first one is create a children's park on the west end of Cohasset, specifically at the juncture of Forest Ave and Jerusalem, where there is a very small wedge of a park, Wadley Park. Recently, Glenn Pratt was campaigning to erect a monument at the center of this small park in honor of those lost at sea. That fell through when the funding, CPC couldn't see their way through to funding that project. But it raised the awareness of Wadley Park. I had frankly forgotten about it. There used to be a volleyball net set up there, and people used to use it to play, and right down by Black Rock Beach. But it occurred to me that I got another piece of information while we were doing that as a result of Glenn Pratt's project activity. And that was that the adjacent corner lot is town property. Apparently, when the isthmus was open, there was a beach that ran up a little ways into Forest Ave, and that is the last piece of property that went along with the beach after they closed the entrance to that little isthmus. And it's overgrown, it's full of invasive weeds and yada, yada, yada. I don't know the exact square footage of it, but it looks to be a fairly good sized lot. And if you think about, I had a little exhibit, but I tried to bring it up a little earlier, and it's corrupted. I couldn't get it to open up. But if the Wadley Park, there's actually the road that goes to Hull, and then on one side of the park, which is, you come down from Forest Ave and it goes straight, the main road goes straight into Hull. But there's also a little side road that goes on the back side of the park, which has parking. It has, I think, 6 lateral spots on the right-hand side of the road. If you're coming out of Hull, it would be the right-hand side. And that's contiguous to the lot that the town owns. Okay, now I don't know if there are any covenants or complications in the deed on that lot, I've got one of my committee members is trying to look into that at the assessor's office. And I assume the road is town property, and certainly the park is town property. And the committees, the idea that came up in the committee and we voted to take this on as a project is to see if we can somehow get the town to look at that as a contiguous property. So close the road, take the abutting corner lot, and there's only one abutter on the right-hand side and one abutter as you go down Jerusalem Road on either side of the lot. The other two sides are Jerusalem Road and this little road that connects to the road that goes out to Hull. So I think we were looking at something over an acre. If you took all the property, the town has an interest in increasing the access to Black Rock Beach. And by the way, that's one of the action items for the Open Space and Recreation Committee is to increase access to the waterfront. So we think we can provide additional parking, more than the 6, I think it's 6 spots that are there. If you look at, if you've gone by the Beechwood, the little playground out at Beechwood, there's a basketball court, a little playground, and all along the front is parking. There's, I think, 12 parking spaces there. It's in a pretty tight, small piece of property. I'm sure we can engineer, we can get engineering done that would give us at least 12 parking spaces, doubling what's there now, and create a children's park, similar to that one that's out at the end of Beechwood. Now, there's no recreational outlet at all on that side of town. So I think this would be a really, and the committee agrees that it would be a great asset to the town, and particularly the residents on that side of the town, to be able to take their younger children down to a playground that also abuts Black Beach if there was parking and access and all of that good stuff. So that's my primary proposal, and that's why I come here tonight to see if we can convince you to support this project. We'll help with the grant research, et cetera. And we'll, I've already talked to CPC, and they need to know more about it, but they gave me a favorable nod that they would, it looks like they would be able to fund, do substantial funding to provide, to get this thing built. Of course, we'll have to get a recreational engineering company that does parks, and have them figure out the layout. The abutters will be a problem. They don't want anything out there. They were opposed to the monument, and they'll be doubly opposed to anything that smacks of having more people around their property. So, but that's not uncommon in Cohasset, and that's just one of the things that we'll have to overcome. And I'm sure we could. There's no real reason that they would be disturbed during the day. It wouldn't be a lit park at night. It would be a children's park that would be dark at night, and the parking would be for Black Rock Beach, and there's parking there now, and I haven't heard that there's any public safety problem because of the parking there now. So I don't believe additional parking, again, which is something the town is interested in doing, would be a problem. So that's my proposal. To create this park. We'll leave it named Wadley Park, close that road, get the town to, contribute the road and well, it'll be town property, so they don't have to contribute anything. You know, they own the road, they own the lot, and they own the park. So it's just changing the usage of that particular area. And when you put it all together, it's a pretty, it creates a pretty good sized area that looks to me that we can create plenty of parking and have a great children's park right there at the junction that people can get to easily and probably get great usage out of it. So that's project number one. So would you like to vote on that right now?
Yes, does anybody have any commentary on that?
It's pretty ambitious, but you know, one of the things, one of the actual action item is to develop new ball fields and play areas in town and act when opportunity presents itself. If I ever saw an opportunity that presented itself, it's this Wadley Park project. And it'll be an asset to the town forever if we can successfully pull this off. I think it's a tremendous boon to that part of town. It'll increase, you know, property values are pretty high already, but it'll do nothing but increase the property values. If you have easy access, more access to Black Rock Beach and a nice little kiddie park, you know, the rest of the park would be grassed area probably. And, you know, so you would have a place to, you know, lay your blanket out if you wanted to. Crossing the street would be a problem, but you know, that's workable. We can figure that out.
So this is Jeff, proud alum of the Open Space and Rec Committee, Peter.
And well served.
So my head went immediately to the junction that you mentioned, and it is a very busy spot, right? It's a kind of a three-way stop with one through street, people coming down Rustway, coming down Forest, going into Hull.
It's a four-way, you know, but it's only got stop signs in one direction.
So there's a stop on Jerusalem on either side, and there's one coming from Hull and none on Forest.
Right.
And it's busy, right? And
yeah,
was there any discussion? I mean, you're talking significant fencing around that area, I would imagine, or balls are going to bounce into the street and
well, I'm sure
catastrophe will follow.
I'm sure the engineering can be done such that the kiddie park will be isolated from the roads and in the core of the park, and it'll have its own fence around it, you know, to keep the little kids from straying away. And, you know, whatever needs to be done can be done, but you know, that's in the details. We're really right at the beginning of the project where there are very few details. You know, we don't even know if the lot has covenants that prevent it from using it as a recreation area.
Yeah.
Or the street. You know, I assume Wadley Park, the existing Wadley Park, is covenanted to as a recreation area because it's a park and people have been playing there for years.
And the other thing is that you know, May to September will be beach parking. You know, it'll be nearly 100% beach parking.
Well, there's six spots there today that you know, are utilized for whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just I wonder about the ability of folks to drive to access the park. Because there are cars that do round, you know, rotations waiting to try to park in those 6 spots. So
yeah, but there's also a great opportunity for people to travel on foot with, you know, their baby carriages, you know, toddlers, and this is a little kids park. It's not not a baseball park or a basketball court or anything like that. You know, well, what at least in our vision is just a nice little play area for children, and I'm sure it can be made to be a safe place. And if the parking is taken, the parking is taken. You know, those are all things that can be dealt with. You know, they can be permitted, you know, to keep other people out, but then they have to be monitored. The police would have to swing through there and tag people regularly, who park there to use Black Rock Beach who don't live in Cohasset. All those things are to be determined, but they're not stoppers as far as I'm concerned. It's just details that have to be worked out.
Hey, Peter, it's Tim. Is the idea of that memorial, is that completely dead? Has that been kind of put to bed?
CPC won't fund it, so I assume it's dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Nobody's-
mean,
Nobody's
details to be sorted
nobody
out.
brought it up again. Let's put it that way. I think it would have had significant opposition anyway.
Yeah.
We have a whole harbor over there, and if you're going to put a monument to people lost at sea, you ought to put it over by the sea, over by the harbor where people will actually see it. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, details to be sorted out, but as a proud alumni of Beechwood Street, that's a pretty busy street too, and
Yeah.
somehow that
That survived. That has survived all these years without a fatality, and
I would say, I think there's a part of what Peter's saying that I really love, and I do think that the idea at a high level just it unlocks a part of the town that I think a lot of people either maybe don't have don't feel like they have access to, or
Yeah.
even people locally that are now having to travel to get access to other kid parks or whatever it might end up being. So I think it's at 100,000 feet. I think it's a really, really great thing to pursue.
And that's where we are. We're at the concept stage. The details. I don't see any stoppers, frankly. I think the money can be found. The property all belongs to the town. We've got a few abutters who are gonna resist. But at the end of the day, it's a permanent asset for the town forever if we do this right. Now, I was a proponent of not putting condos at the Cove. I thought we should make a park at the Cove. Tear down the motel and create a beautiful park, literally a gem right at the Cove for the town to use in perpetuity. What a thought. I still think that, by the way. But I'm afraid I'm a minority on that opinion. I'm hoping not to be a minority on this opinion.
Yeah, I really love it.
So, you don't have to vote on it this minute, but I will be back as I gather more information, and I am looking for the Recreation Commission to be a co-sponsor in this effort. So that's what I want you to consider. And the Open Space and Rec Committee will work with you in the funding aspect of it and the grant, finding the grants and working on, getting the grants written and all of that stuff. We'll be co-partners in trying to get this done because I think it's such a valuable project.
Just, you didn't have a specific number of parking spots, is that right? Right now, you just are.
I'm not an engineer, and the shape of the lot and I don't know if there's any covenants near the water side. I don't know what's usable, but I'm assuming out of combining the three properties that we could create a nice little children's park and then create a number of parking spaces greater than there are there now. I'm just throwing out a dozen. I'm not an engineer. I don't know for sure, but they can figure it out.
Okay, I just didn't know how far into the planning you
No, we're
Yeah, okay.
as John said, this is early concept. Not many details other than I know where the three properties are and I have a thought about how it could be put together, and it all belongs to the town. You don't have to buy anything.
Mhm.
So that's my proposition. That's the easy one. Want to hear the next one?
What's the next one?
Yep.
I was a board member of Safe Harbor for 5 years. I was treasurer and board member. I stepped down recently to let other folks have some fun. But one of the main thrust of Safe Harbor is to reduce substance abuse among our young people, which I wholeheartedly still am a proponent of that goal. And I work at it. So this has to do with that concept, in that we're trying to create the town. One of the goals for 2021 of the select board is to create a youth center in town to give the teenagers and preteens some outlet, an additional outlet, because there isn't enough activities available to them that are enjoyable for their, just for them, versus sports and education and yada, yada, yada. So if you know the skating pond on what street is down, down at the base of the hill, down from the high school, the little pond there. And there's a street that used to go through to Main Street. And I think it's Spring Street that was there. And right at the foot of, I think it's Elm or Oak Street, is a little street that used to go all the way through, but the train now goes across. So it's a little dead end right beside one end of the little pond there. And the kids, I noticed over the summer that the kids had made their own jumps and obstacles and were using BMX bikes and skateboards in that dead end street beside the pond, which got me thinking about my experience and the goals of Safe Harbor to create more recreational opportunities for preteen and teen kids that they would be into. And it struck me that, we may be able to put a skate park in town somewhere. And we need to find an appropriate place to put it. But I've done some research on that, and I talked to the recreation director at Situate and the recreation director in Hingham. Both towns have longstanding skate parks, and I wanted to know what their experience was in terms of public safety. Was it an attractive nuisance? Did it bring in the wrong, hoodlums or whatever you want to call them? Was there trouble there? Was there drinking there? Was there drugs there? That any different than any other recreational venue anywhere? And the answer came back, no. There's no, there's occasional trouble like any place else, but there's nothing unusual with and these parks have been established for, greater than 10 years in both towns. And both recreation directors shared with me that these venues are the most popular and most widely used venues in their town at all times. And Hingham actually runs skateboard classes and has all kinds of stuff going on around the skateboard park. And in Hull, in Situate, they have, I think it's Hingham, they have a separate bike area and then a separate, or maybe it's a skating. They have a skating area and a skateboard area. So it seems to be a very, very attractive recreational outlet for preteens and teens. And I see the kids all over the place in town. It's banned everywhere. You can't skateboard on any town property or any place here, any place there. If kids were doing that 15 years ago, and all, now it's banned everywhere permanently forever. You can't do it. And, and I think under controlled conditions, if we could find the right spot, this could be another recreational outlet for preteens and teens that would be a boon to the town as well. That may help, and we think it would help reduce substance abuse, or at least create an alternative to that, give the kids something to do that they enjoy. Now, we have to, again, CPC, I floated this by CPC, and it's a fundable thing from CPC. They'll find money for it. Both Situate said they did theirs for $239,000. They're redoing it now for another, I don't know. I didn't get a number on it, but they were, changing it a bit, refurbing it. Hingham spent, I think, $300,000. So it's not it's not a small amount. It's a fairly good chunk of money, but it doesn't have to be monitored. You can, the kids will self-monitor and self-police it. That's what both recreation directors told me, that's how it goes down. Because they want it to be there. They don't want to lose the privilege of having that area. So that's my second project. Now, in terms of priorities, I would put the park number one and the skateboard park number two. But it's pretty presumptuous to try to do both of them. But what the hell? I'm trying to go for it. So that's my story. What do you think?
Any discussion?
Ted, can I ask, just 'cause you would probably be the one to hear about this, have you heard of clamoring for a skate park, or where does that kind of land on the things that you've heard, if we had additional space that people would be interested in?
Well, it's interesting
Yeah.
because when I, as Peter knows, I did the 2010 plan with a small group of people. And so we did do all that research. And, back then there was, we made a list, skateboard park, street hockey rink, dog park. So there were, back 10 years ago, there were kids that had put on the list skateboard park. I haven't had too many requests lately. It's been more street hockey rink.
Yeah, I talked to several younger parents, people on the board, on my board, and their acquaintances, and they said, yeah, the kids are all, because the skateboards are new now, that they're different configurations. They're different than the old flat boards that were around before, and the younger kids are doing it everywhere. I don't see them all. I mean, but well, as I said, this impromptu little skate park, the kids built it themselves on this dead end little street by the pond. So
it wasn't, we were thinking about if Elms Meadow used to be the rec department built that. God, that was, there was almost 40 years ago. Dickie Barrows and a group of them got Elms Meadow cleared for skating. But then we were keeping it up to date until just recently, until the water department told us they put brand new pumps in there, and they couldn't stop the pumps from, what happened was they usually stopped the pumps for the skating.
yeah, they winterized the pumps, and now they run them all year.
Yeah, and so it never gets very good ice. So we actually abandoned the lights, we abandoned everything. But if we actually brought skating back, that little spot there was actually.
Oh, I wouldn't recommend that spot.
Well, there are people, they still skate there. I mean, the neighborhood kids are still there.
Oh, they play hockey there every time it freezes.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the water pumps not pumping, there's never good ice. I mean, but there was a thought back 5-6 years ago to put a warming shed like the one over at Hingham, if skating was ever allowed to go there. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is, they actually brought skating. The DPW actually put the wood down last year after we abandoned it to get ice back on there. So, I mean, that's one proposal that came about, was a little shed for people to warm up in before skating, if skating was ever allowed. So,
The kids don't care. You know, I mean, every time it freezes, there's 2 hockey games going on.
Yeah.
All ages, it's great. And the ice holds up. It's only 3 feet deep. So, you know, my kids used to go through the ice, you know, they never drowned. Anyway, but I wouldn't put it there. It's too secluded. The one thing you want is to have it somewhat out in the open so it's visible. Which, you know, reduces the number of places it can go and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this project also was discussed, and the committee unanimously agreed that voted to take it on. Again, it's consistent with goal 3 in our action item number 8 in our plan, and we are working through the action items in a consistent manner. So we're behind it, and we're going to keep researching it. I hope that the Recreation Committee can get behind us and support these efforts to increase the types of recreation that we can provide in the town. And that's why I'm here.
Can I just ask about parking again over there? Because I'm not familiar with that area, but I am
I'm
familiar.
not recommending that area
I don't understand. You're not recommending what area?
over by the pond. It's too secluded. I
for,
don't think-
Oh, so you're looking for a particular place. You don't have a place in mind. is
I
that-
don't have all I have is a mind. All I have
Okay,
is a thought. I don't have a place yet,
Okay,
but I know I can fund it. And I know other towns have great success with it, and are telling me that it's the most popular teen and preteen venue in their town.
Yep. I
So-
like the idea of it. I've been to all the skate parks now since everything has shut down, so.
Oh, well, there you go. There's a proponent.
I'll make an egregious generalization in favor of it as well, based on the 2 kids that are in my older guy's grade that have sort of fallen out of a couple of the sports they used to play, and now are spending a significant amount of time skating and, you know, going over to Hingham and Situate. So
Yeah.
in that, it does sort of target that group. If, again, my gross generalization holds, that they'd be looking
Yeah.
for something to do.
Again, I only have a very small sample, you know, it's not the universe of kids at all, but the mothers I've talked to have said the same thing, that their kids are, you know, and kids they know are very into this now. Again, it's coming back, and the kids are very, you know, very interested in doing it.
in the conferences I do go to, it is mentioned that, for 10 years now, that you want to get a good high visibility area, and preferably next to a police and fire station. We don't have that on Elm Court, but if the fire station ever gets built on 3A, the only problem is it'd be nice to have a spot behind there, because you don't want a kid falling without anyone around.
Yeah, well, there'll always be a fire station there.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be an auxiliary, you know, there'll be an engine there, and
Yeah.
there'll not be any firefighters, but they'll house equipment there as a second location.
So if they ever did get a new location, if they could build.
Yeah, there may be room there could be.
So-
Yeah, I mean, we gotta search around for room. I mean, but it's as you said in your conferences, they recommend that you put it someplace visible.
Is there
Preferably the police and fire. Keep an eye on the kids, so.
Is there anything around where the proposed teen center is going? You know, on the edges of the parking lot? I can't even visualize it in my head, but
I don't think there is a place that the teen center is going. The garage is still, you know, up in the air whether it can be used or not used, and there's no other proposal other than where you folks, where Ted is located, down the rest of that first floor area.
I mean, our proposal is to move in there. September, have the teen center downtown. So we are heading in that direction, so.
Okay.
But there is no, unfortunately, there's a lack of parking already down there and so,
Yeah, it's pretty tight. That lot is full all the time, and there really isn't any room.
Yeah.
You know, you've got that ledge area right beside the garage that I don't even know who owns that. The town may own it, and maybe other, you know, maybe private property. I don't know. I guess it's probably the town property, but it's not very big. And if you couldn't, you know, back up into the ledge more and get more space, it wouldn't be much of a park. But it would be accessible by bicycle and by foot. So it's not, you know, it's not out of the question. But you couldn't take any of the parking lot. So it's, you know, it's, you know, it may not be doable because of the requirement for the location at the end of the day, but the Open Space and Rec Committee anyway is going to explore it as far as they can. You know, we'll research it. I know we can get money, and I know, you know, now we'll talk to a few other towns and see if the information they're providing is consistent. You know, they feel the same way. I'm fairly comfortable that it's a safe thing to do. It's not a dangerous direction to go in. And they said they don't have, you know, they occasionally have an accident, but it's not horrible kind of place. You know, kids don't get killed. So.
Well, it sounds like you've got some qualified support here from a couple of our guys. And will you keep us posted and keep John McMahon in the loop for us?
You can count on it.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great.
Thank you very much for giving me this time tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'd like you to, you know, really consider the park project. I think that would be a contribution to the town that will be permanent and well appreciated.
Excellent.
The skate park is an opportunity to do something to help try to keep the substance abuse pandemic down, which if you don't think we have a problem, then you're not paying attention.
Amen. Well, thanks
Thanks,
for your time.
Peter.
Thanks for coming on.
Nice job, Peter.
All right, take care. And again, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
thanks.
Thanks.
Take care, Jeff, John. Thank you for your work with us.
Enjoyed it.
Okay, take care, guys.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Peter.
I'm not too sure if Jack is with us. Jack, can you hear us or talk to us or? I don't know where Jack is. So let's see. So where do we, I mean,
So why don't we, so we kind of left off at the rec, since he brought up the rec center, why don't we go there?
yep, and I got some things to share here. So I'm going to share with you first the present layout of the building. You know, so just to let you guys know, I mean, you guys did, I think, took a vote. I'm about to look back at the notes to support the teen center idea. It's a goal of the Board of Selectmen. If COVID, I know the selectmen set a high rate on the surveys. They wanted 30% back, and that sort of slowed things down. If COVID didn't happen, I wanted this building opening last Labor Day, and we could afford to do it. You know, there's some work that needs to be done. You know, just to let you guys know, I mean, that building is one of our prized possessions. It was, you know, I did forward the email that Jack sent to, you know, the selectmen, to Diane, to Chris, because I think there was if any of you guys follow 143, there was a little diatribe, I think, back at the end of December about our building, and it's your building. You know, the rec department took that building over in 2000. You know, it was the former Drug and Alcohol Committee, which I was on, turned into the Youth Resources Committee, which is actually funny. It's we still have an account called Youth Resources that's the account that pays all the bills here. So, you know, it's always one of my goals to support. You know, 21 years ago, there was actually, you know, the day that Tim sent that letter was our 21st anniversary of that building. And it was meant for a teen center. But, teen centers don't sustain themselves by themselves. And the town gave them a very limited budget for staff. And so the only way for them to make money back then was to run dances and just to afford the bills. But when I came aboard, it was the only place we could run programs. So we ran programs nonstop there in that assembly area and in the town hall auditorium until we got this space here. So we built that program up, and as you know, we have Linda Bolster there 9 to 3, and then we have Explosion Dance that's there 3 to 9. So even before, ever since 2010, that's probably the most used building in this town. And even when we moved here, it's still, it actually opened up that space for Linda and for the dance studio to have no conflicts. So, we, in our last full year that we had with those guys before COVID, we brought in over $160,000 from, 80 of it from playtime and 73 from the dance program, with over 9,000 people registrations in that program and over close to 400 kids using that program throughout the year. So, with both those programs are contractual, so we get 25%. So, in that one good year we had 18 to 19 before, because COVID cut short our 19-20, we had $40,000 that came in into that program, which in hindsight, we moved the teens in here. The dance studio will be upstairs. So as like I said, many of you have been here when any program's upstairs, it's very loud. Jack would attest to that too. I have ergs up there right now, and it sounds like there's a washing machine running, or a dryer, just for the noise going, swishing back and forth. So we have revenue in that account to actually put a floor in upstairs. And then, when this program opens up, and I'll share with you the proposed, the Cherryakis that actually did a, sorry, let me figure out how to do this. We do have a new plan in place. So this would be the new, we have to do some work here. There's a closet where you see the multifunction room. That presently is a small closet, about just a little bit, if you go think about the old picture. So we blow out that wall, make it a study room. The dance floor is actually there already from Explosion Dance, so we leave that there. Because one of the things that we need to do, obviously, in this, Explosion does run a small 6-week program in the summer, but we can't have them here. We'll have 100 kids here, 50 upstairs, 50 downstairs, and too many tables and chairs to dance around. So they'd move back downtown every summer and use the dance floor that they have. The stage is there that's left over from ground level, so that'd be relocated. But when Starland shut down their golf, their driving range, I went over there and got 5 booths from them, and they're the indestructible booths that teens can't destroy, and I know that from my years at Hingham. So, and we have a lot of equipment that has been donated. We have an air hockey table in the basement, a couple of foosball tables. The only recommendation I would do, and this is based on 10 years at Hingham Rec, is that we would have to buy a brand new ping pong table every year because they do destroy it. And there are some nice commercial tables called Stigas that usually last a year at Hingham, if they, so they'd last here. But as you see, we have to do a little bit of work. We blow that closet out and make a great study room or safe harbor meeting room. And then we just have to build space for Linda Bolster to store her equipment so the teenagers don't play with all the kids' toys. And that's what you see in that little closet there next to the ping pong table. We just store Linda's stuff in there. And also where you see the kitchenette, we would just, there's a closet there with a sop sink to the right and plumbing. So it wouldn't be a major expense. But, basically we want to do this. I mean, and I think you guys all support it. As Peter says, there's a need for teenagers to go to, and, they looked at our space here, but, the great thing about this location is it's centralized, and I even thought about, the village right now is not doing well with the loss of the sub shop, which is gone, and then Tedeschi's, hopefully something will happen with the gas station. But, this will help revitalize downtown a little bit. There's some advantages to it. It's next to a police station, which is always good. It's also, it's indestructible. It's 100-year-old brick building, and you need that with the teenagers. I mean, we don't expect to see a lot of teenagers, but if we get 30 or 40 kids a day coming through there, it's the great news is when they were thinking about taking that building from us, they put in the Wi-Fi. So it does have great Wi-Fi. And as you read in the letter that Tim sent to the selectmen, in 2010, we contracted the South Shore Tech kids. And it does have probably one of the best HVAC systems in this town. It's got, it's one reason why in the summer it's cool and, it keeps warm in the winter. So, there's some more, there are some issues. The roof, at some point has to be looked at to watch for leaks. In that little corner there by the stage and the dance floor, on certain rain events, just twice a year, the water comes in that corner because the ledge is built into that corner. But it goes into right now it's a cement floor, so it doesn't do any damage. We had a building inspection last week with the brand new building inspector and John Dockery, the assistant fire chief. And the only things that they suggested, are things that, the fire extinguisher was, even though the maintenance guys are there every day, it expired last year. So and it needs 2 new fire extinguishers by the doors. It has to have the CO detectors are not wired in, and we actually have we put a brand new system in there. We spent a good amount of money back in 2012, 13 with a brand new, so it's an easy fix. But they saw no issues with the building. The things that they noticed were things that weren't even our responsibility. Like there's a curtain that goes behind the stage that isn't fireproof when they have ground level, so we got to get a fireproof curtain for that. But we do want to put new windows in. I got an estimate for that. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with Richie Evans for a second estimate. But the windows are about $7,000. There's 7 windows you see there. And there was a class night here back in 2006. So they took the building over. They asked the Recreation Commission if they could do the secret class night there. So they took the building over for a month to surprise the teenagers. And one thing they did do was they put residential windows in and residential toilets in. So we do have, those windows are rotted, especially the one next to the entry lobby door so that estimate, along with hardware for the double doors, which is $1,500 just for the hardware, it's about $10,000. So, we have a meeting Monday, but the one key component of this teen center is also to tie in a new assistant recreation director, which has been on our list for a couple of years now, to help with a lot of things. He'd be involved with the extreme program in the summer. He'd be the director of the basketball program for us in May, June, and July, and he'd oversee this facility. So before COVID, we were looking very good. I knew we could fund it with your blessings and your vote. We could fund this position, but COVID has hit us hard. We've lost about $75,000 in disposable income, and the one thing that they're pushing from the town side is that we fund the entire position. Obviously the town's in a budget crush right now, and they're in no position to fund an assistant director. So they want us to fund it. So I'm doing the math right now. I'll have some more details for you. The extreme, there are funding sources in our budget, but we're concerned. We're concerned about extreme this year. We can't dip into that because we don't know if we're going to make money this year on extreme if we can't go on field trips. Basketball program, as you saw earlier, only has $3,000 in the budget, and we need to make money to just get the basketball up and running. So this some creative financing I need to do. And I need to talk to you guys about, they would like to see us raise our fees, which this is a tough year because number one, we're not running any programs to raise the fees. And, the playground program, which is our biggest moneymaker, what's it going to look like this summer? Is it going to be, we need to cut the field trips. We need to cut the entertainment. We need to cut busing, for the kids to swim lessons back and forth. So to raise the fees of a program that we're going to gut a little bit just for this year because of COVID is tough on me. We'll need to get a little subgroup together to talk about the program. But, we have no clue if that program is going to be able to run the way we want to run. There might be a program similar to what other towns did last summer with lower numbers, which, as many of you know, if we say we're going to take 200 kids, we're going to get 400 people to register every session. And then it's going to get ugly. Who gets in, who does not get in. So, but we know this site is the best location for the teen center. I hope that you guys agree. With Linda there, from 9 to 3, just her alone will bring in about $20,000 in revenue. And I usually have about $8,000 in expenses for that building for National Grid, Verizon, the gas, the alarm company, energy. So Linda would actually fund the teen center. So she would actually pay the bills. And that's why, as we go discuss this, I call it the rec center. We call this the recreation department office. There's a beautiful sign over that door saying rec center. I do not want to call it a youth center or a teen center because the kids that we change the diapers for are paying the bills. So ideally we call this the rec center with a teen center component. And it once again become a very busy building. Where dance is upstairs, this will be open 9 to 3 every morning with Linda. She keeps the place spotless. The teens will come in 3 to 6, and then we do programming. Nicole from Safe Harbor, we could run programs here at night. We could have her running. We could have exercise programs here, and it'd be busy all weekend too, for what it used to be. And I even pointed out that multifunction room could be a great study room. So when we're not having meetings, tutors could go in there and pay us to use the room. So that's where the teen center stands right now. There are meetings coming forward. I need to present a budget. And I started actually working today on what that assistant director will look like, what percentage of his job is coming out of this building, out of Extreme, out of basketball. So I'm working that angle so we can see if 33% of his job is here, then 33% of his job should come from the funding here. So I just don't think, I'm in the belief that you don't take money from the playground program to pay that position when he has nothing to do with the playground program. So that's where we stand. And I think, as it goes forward, I think we should be open in September. We do need, and I'm hoping, we know we're going to need to spend about $30,000 upstairs to move Explosion here, about $20,000. I just got a new estimate, about $25,000 for the floor and a mirror. And then we need about, we're thinking, we need $10,000 for the doors and windows and toilets. And then I think we need about $10,000 to blow out that closet door and put a new closet in. So my goal is to see, that's $50,000, is have the Chris Senior put $50,000 into CPC to get this done. And then we can use the $30,000 we're going to do to help pay for the position. So that's where I'm going with this. Does anybody have any questions? Like I said, it's going, I will need to sit down with you guys because there is talk about me raising all my fees to help pay for the assistant director.
What's the time frame, Ted? What's the time frame? You said you had a meeting next week with those guys?
Yeah, we have another planning meeting next week. But like I said, we need to talk assistant director. I mean, they need to set a number on that position. I'm projecting like 60,000 because, Jenna's about 54.
So wait, the town needs to say the assistant rec director makes 60?
Miriam has to set the rate based on the job things. And she asked me to do research on other assistant directors. Of course, the initial research I'm getting, they're getting paid more than I am. So,
$250,000 each.
yeah, I mean, they're making 80 to 100,000, but they're in towns of 20 to 40,000. I did talk to the kid in Situate, who's the assistant director down there, and he's at 60. So, but benefits cost money. I mean, you know, even just the $60,000 position costs us 62 without benefits. Individual benefits are another 10. And if we get somebody that who wants to be the assistant director, who's got a family, and they want to use the town's insurance, that's $22,000 more.
Yeah.
So the position, and we need to replenish all that money. So, you know, it's not the time. I was hoping the selectmen would pay the assistant director for 1 year until we get our feet back in the ground, get Extreme. You know, like I said, I don't know what Extreme's going to look like. I don't, you know, basketball is down to $3,000, and we don't even have backboards up yet. And then, like I think in that one little slide I gave you guys, we are, you know, in the future we have team benches, scoreboards, padding that has to be done too. So, but no, we can open this. I mean, it's the right thing to do. It's what the building was meant for 21 years ago. You know, we have a great relationship with Safe Harbor.
Ed.
So,
Can I ask,
sure.
figuring out whether I'm muted here. I'm getting a little bit confused between the plans for the building and how, if at all, that impacts the assistant director position. Can you just kind of lay out plainly the steps to bring that assistant director position to life, and how the board plays into that?
Well, I think I'm not too sure we've actually taken a vote on the position. I mean, well, you guys would have to make the vote because it's coming out of the revolving fund, and I refer to that to either Chris and Miriam, that anything like that, where, you know, even raising the fees or changing the pay schedule has to be run by you guys. The big picture, all, you know, is Recreation Commission accounts. But, you know, I guess the first question is, yes, we need somebody to oversee this building. And yes, for 3 years now, even before this teen center became a thought, you know, they've been making a push for an assistant director, which I agree with. I mean, we get back to normal, and now that we get the after school program again, which is actually a great revenue source for this position too, we're $1 million business. You know, when we got the Extreme going, playground going, this place operating, and, you know, the RISE program, we were up to close to $900,000 of revenue coming in. So, you know, it is tough for just Jenna and I to do all that work. So I totally, and Jack was the one that was proponent, you know, pushing to Chris. And, you know, like I said, 4 years ago, it's been discussion about assistant director. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and, you know, there's no money in the town budget for it. But I actually got the impression 4 years ago that this position be paid for out of program fees. But if we were up and running, like I said, if I feel a lot better next year, but we can make it work. I mean, we'll, you know, I hate to say, if we get somebody that without a family, but, you know, that is 60 and not 82, that's a huge bump. But
Yeah,
you know,
but I think the making it work piece is, there's a lot that goes into that, right? And I think we need to carefully consider all of those
Yep.
implications, right? Like, if we have a chunk of money that we can make available, we haven't done a lot, you know, for good reason, but
Yep.
we haven't done a lot over the last year, right? So we're going to have to sit down and carefully consider the revenue that we can make available and where that is best spent, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is going to be optics for folks who are going to, you know, who we hear about for basketball courts and shacks up at Milliken and all those things. So I think that, you know, I supported it the first time around, but in this environment with the revenue as it is and the optics as they are, I think we need to, you know, have all of those facts and consider it again as we move forward.
Yeah, and I met with the finance director yesterday just to confirm our budget numbers, because we haven't been reimbursed for our playground cleaning yet. So I was wondering why our playground account number was so low. And we always need money, you know, the health and rec fair, which is not happening. You know, that's an expense that we have that, you know, we spend money to make money. That program, the health and rec fair, I want to continue it. Mary Goodwin might retire next January, so you know, I have to break in a new health agent, health nurse to get that program back up and running. But like I said, I'll give you two pieces pretty soon, a budget sheet that shows you what our balances were at December 31st. It does show the $75,000 difference from last year because of COVID. And then I'll give you what I'm trying to do. Like I said, I'm trying to make that position. What percentage of the position, what is his job or his or her job, and show the percentage of what, you know, they're going to be overseeing this, going to be part of Extreme, they'll be part of the basketball.
Yep. Okay.
You know, and then actually, when I get that percentage, that'll actually help with Rise because it's going on during that time of day. You know, we can look at, because you're going to need to approve funding from, instead of just one. I know they call it one account, but we have 10 different accounts. So once there's going to be funding cycled from different, you guys are going to need approved transfers from probably 7 different accounts into one account for the salary. You know, but in the long run, you know, hopefully, you know, the assistant director will also run programs for us that make money. It'll be a salary position. So everything that he or she does, if they run a program here at night, all the money goes to the rec department, you know, because he or she is a salary. And like I said, we need somebody to run the basketball program because, you know, having a different kid come in every day, every year to run it, it'd be good to have somebody that has, you know, that would, you know, because the teen center will not be open during the summer. I mean, most teen centers aren't. The kids are busy enough between our Extreme program, sailing, swimming, baseball, every sport's being played. So that this teen center was shut down when school shuts down. And then that person will be dedicated to Extreme, to helping us with our busy summer. And like I said, basketball will be happening. So he or she will be overseeing the basketball program. So, which would in the long term would save us money because last year we paid, you know, the last couple of years we paid somebody to oversee it for us, which cost a couple $1,000s. So that fee will be absorbed into salary and just make profit. So, but yeah,
It sounds like you're going on the right direction. We're sort of a justification of, you know, what the money is, where it's coming from, and like a projection that takes into account that some of those programs we don't quite know, right? What they're going to be like from a, you know, participation or revenue perspective. So I think that sounds like the right stuff we need to look at.
we're actually
So,
making money.
thank
We're making money. The dance, you know, Explosion's is operating right now. And you know, it's doing very well. I mean, we're making that 25%, and they only have 6 kids in there on that dance floor. And they're following all the guidelines, but they're doing, you know, a really good job of, you know, doing that. So I have got one little slight concern here is I hope we don't get shut off at 8 o'clock. That's the only concern I have.
Well, I have a 13-year-old playing in his first varsity high school hockey game against 17-year-olds tonight. So I'm planning on jumping off pretty soon to make sure he doesn't go break his bones all over the place.
I mean, so let me, you know, before.
Well, yeah, just through it, Ted, because I mean, I don't want to speak for John, but I think Peter kind of gave us what was happening with open space. I can just give you 250.
I need one vote.
There is somebody.
I need one vote. We are co-sponsoring an event.
Yeah.
With the library, with Safe Harbor, with the town. And I sent you the flyer. It's Dr. Grandin, which Allison, I don't know if you know anything about her, but it's about diversity. It's one of the other selectmen's goals. So she's doing a Zoom. So all of us are chipping in $1,000, $5,000 for the Zoom event. I don't know much about her, but I did send the flyer to you guys. But before 8 o'clock, just in case we do get shut out, I don't know if we will or not because we're active, but I just need a vote. It's under my report to authorize 1,000. And obviously this is not the best year to do it, but you know, we have funds in our regular account to do it. Timmy, I may need to have you do the roll call, but we just need a vote if someone makes a motion, a second for the
Yeah, so,
$1,000.
yes, someone want to make a motion that we spend $1,000, our portion of the $5,000, which is $1,000 towards the Temple Grandin program that the library is going to run?
I will make that motion.
Any second?
I'll second.
All right, so let's do a quick roll call. Tim Bernica, all those in favor say aye. Tim Bernica, aye. Allison Bryan,
Aye.
Jack DiLorenzo,
And
Jeff
that-
Hartwell,
Aye.
John McMahon.
Aye.
Okay, passes 4-0.
So, I'm trying to stop sharing here. So on the agenda, I mean, like I mentioned, there'll be no health and rec fair. I did send an email out to all the extreme parents, which some of you might have got, about the, unfortunately, I can't do anything with extreme yet because half the locations aren't open. We don't know what the busing is going to be like. I have reached out to all my colleagues. I hope we can take buses this summer. We're not going to do it for playground. We're not going to do any field trips. We've already decided that no playground field trips, no entertainers, because there is a no visitor clause as part of COVID. So we don't want to, so I'm going to let Jack in here, I think. But, so extreme's going to be, playground's going to be a little different, but extreme, I think we're just going to wait. My goal is to have something by February, the end of February, so people can, because we do need to figure out how many kids we're going to have. So, and I do want to do the playground pre-registration on the day of the health and rec fair, because I want people to remember that day, that we always have, registration always happens, for playground, the fair. So, but we're not going to take money. My goal is to do a pre-registration for extreme in early March, and a pre-registration for playground Sunday, March 21st, which is the day we're going to have their health and rec fair. It would just be so we know, because we need to start looking at staff. We can't, we got to learn, we got to know what our numbers are going to be like. Then hopefully by March and April, we'll have a clue, what we can do. And then we can fill out your paperwork and pay your bill, in April. That's our goal. Hopefully the COVID numbers start going down and we can start looking at that. And I'm the only thing that concerns me about that is for parents, some of you are in this boat where you're paying for playground and extreme in the same month. And obviously I've talked to Chris and Mary about this. It's also an issue. They want us to raise our fees, but I see a lot of scholarship money. We have $16,000 in our scholarship fund. I see that all gone this summer. I think there are parents out there that are going to need us. And that's what that fund is about. Unfortunately, once our main contributor did pass away last summer, who's giving us $1,000 for over, I think, 12 years now. So we have a new family that's been giving us money 2 years ago, but they didn't. Hopefully they'll come back, when they start seeing the program listed. But so that's my concern is that, do I ask parents that have 6 kids, 3 in extreme and 3 in playground, you guys send us your money by May to sort of commit. So as we get closer, we can talk about it. Like I said, extreme might just be 1 field trip a week. And it might be, in a location where Six Flags might not open this year. They're phase 4. And Waterways is phase 4 because they mistakenly, when they opened up, called themselves an amusement park and not a water park. So there's trips we can go on that are outside. I think that's what a lot of my colleagues are saying is go outside, and even playground, go back to your roots, go back to your traditions. So I had to break the news to Kate that the busing that we do for swim lessons, we're going to go back to the tradition, and Jeff might know this, anyone that grew up in Cohasset. The tradition was that kids walking down Surrey Street nonstop, yellow shirts leading the way. That's our tradition. And unfortunately for the 5-year-olds at Osgood, it could be a long walk to a half-hour swim lesson, but it's getting outdoors, being outdoors, in the fresh air, not stuffing 50 kids on a school bus to go to swim lessons or free swim. So, and I know it's not a great thing for that, for that, but nature's it. Nature's the theme of the summer, being outside, as much as possible. The great news is the town bought a lot of tents, as you saw around the schools. And they used one of our tents this fall.
That's a 10.
So when they put up all those tents again for the spring,
Yeah.
Jack, you're live.
so when they put those tents back up this spring at the high school, at the Osgood and Deer Hill, we'll use them all. So, which is good. And then they can leave them up all year long, you know, as long as there's no hurricanes coming off the coast. But so that's the story about Playground Extreme. I just, you know, I'll try to do an extreme schedule. We know what Playground's going to look like. We're going to go just the bare bones this year. We're not going to bring performers in. You know, just not to put 200 kids on a state around one guy. It's just not safe. You know, even we do it outside. It just there might be that rule in place there where there's no visitors, no parents. You know, parents might have to stay in the car, drive off, and come. You know, just with the radio in when they get there. So, but you know, like hopefully, our goal is we're going to start off strong, COVID rules, and hopefully, lessen you know, once COVID relaxes a little bit, we can open things up a little bit. So that's all I have about Playground and Fair, but I will keep you guys in the loop. We need to, you know, about, you know, the extreme program and how to do registrations. I don't know how you guys feel about, you know, trying to collect a lot of money in 1 month from extreme parents that have extreme and playground kids. I'll let you guys. Any suggestions?
I like the idea of dipping significantly into that scholarship fund. Maybe we could, you know, waylay some of the impact using that.
Oh, yeah.
But I support that all the way.
I think it'll cover. I mean, I you know, hopefully both parents are working from home. I mean, our RISE program is struggling. We're actually I'm supposed to have a call today with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and you know, we're actually using some of our RISE money to support the RISE program. Because, you know, because all the money goes to the school, but we're actually subsidizing it. So we're taking a little bit of a hit right now, but, you know, in my discussion with the school is that, you know, next year when we're back up and running, we're going to replenish our account with the revenue we have, because that program does make $30,000 a year, which will help support the assistant director. That's how we paid all the kids in this office for years now, was out of the RISE account, kids that work year round for us. So that'll be tied into the assistant director, which is great. But yeah, we'll use that account. I don't know if you guys have. I asked somebody recently about. I mean, I think it's you, Tim. That are these parents? Do we see a lot of unemployment, or is just both parents working from home? So, but we'll be able to cover the parent. You know, that fund will be heavily used this year if needed, and that's what it's there for.
Right.
So that's all I have. You know, Jack, did you get to listen to any of that?
I heard a lot of what you had to say. I guess I just didn't unmute myself.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tim, for covering. I'm sorry I was very, very late.
You heard Peter's spiel?
I'm sorry?
Did you hear Peter's proposals?
I heard Peter. I'm going to give him a call.
Okay. We should talk.
Yeah, well, I think we need to discuss this as a group.
Yeah.
Got some good ideas, but you know, he seems to be wanting to run before we walk.
And I think, you know, one of the things that we need to look at too is that we're competing for the same money. So we need $100,000 for Milliken. We need 25 for here. We need 75 for Beechwood, and we probably need 50 for the teen center. So there's not much money there. So we don't want him to, you know, well, it's your call, but you know, we're all fighting for the same penny. And we want to get our projects done first and have him support our projects as what the open space plan has. So
I'll just tell him he's on the bottom of the list.
yeah. And John, you know, John will be our point person. So John can, you know, we can talk about that, but.
John can tell him.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all we have for sorry, this is running a little late. I mean, open space, obviously we heard about, you know, safe harbor. Allison, do you want to talk about anything or?
I don't have much. I think you covered it all with the teen center.
We had a great little project today. We, about 6 months ago, I saw this little idea where our staircase going upstairs right now, you know, just, you know, I thought, you know, I think I saw it from a school where they had words going up the staircase or math problems. So when kids are going up the staircase, So Nicole had 4 of our ambassadors here today. And I wish I could, show you. I don't know if I can show you on my phone, but this is the staircase going upstairs right now.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So the 4 girls I picked out the 19 words, and they all have a little meaning to it, like rise, which is a rise program, to breathe, which they forgot the E. So if you notice that in the Christmas 5 things, they're going to add an E to they wrote breath instead of breathe. But it talks about our classes, yoga and dance, that's going to be up there. So they actually did the upper staircase too. So that was great. Jeff, anything on Harbor?
Harbor's trying to transition from the, municipal harbor plan to an implementation committee. So there's a proposal that we're actually meeting tomorrow night about to sort of skinny down the group and get some people who are ready to get their hands dirty. So I'll let you know next time how that goes, but getting there.
And Tim, 250?
Well, there's actually
251?
no, there's stuff. So what wound up happening is they used the 250 committee used as part of the plan for that big weekend in July. We were going to have a fireworks display down at the beach, and that they paid upfront for that with state money. So like the state gave them, whatever it was, I forget which fund it came from, but they spent the money from the state and paid in advance. So the firework guy has already come back, more than once, like multiple times, saying like, hey, just let me know, let me know when you want it done and we will do it. So there is going to be something, I don't know if it's going to be necessarily 250 like branded, but it's going to, there'll be lip service paid to the 250 if that, hey, this is where this actually came from. And, we're supposed to be part of it, but, due to COVID, we didn't get it. So let's enjoy it now. So that's in the future. I don't think it's this summer unless, vaccines come raining down on our heads. So I think it's probably, for a later time, but it is in the works.
I got some good news. Actually, I thought, last year, obviously without a South Shore Music Circus, there was no funding. I mean, we do have $4,000 in our concert account, so we could use that. But I actually was talking to Chris on Friday, saying that I was worried about, the Music Circus would have to do 1 year of shows before they could give money out again. But when I got back to the office here Friday afternoon, I got an email from Jason Cameron and Rebecca Snisvelt, who's got kids in our basketball program. So I can't say her name. Snisvelt. Yeah, okay. So they're now responsible for the funding. They took over for Kurt DeVeris and Jeff Pratt. So there is going to be a funding cycle this year from the South Shore Playhouse Associates. So I wrote them a nice letter saying, we've got a 40-year history with you guys with funding concerts, but going back to 250, if something could be done, maybe before school starts, is I would love to do one nice concert. I had a great concert band that's coming last year, Motown. They're incredible. I'd love to book them. We have a deposit. I think we actually still have a deposit with them. But maybe at the end of the summer, we could do a nice concert. You can mention that to 250 about that. Maybe we could do a concert. I mean, I don't know if they want to do the fireworks and a nice show. And my new idea, and Jack, I'll mention, you can talk to Pastor Karen about this, is I was thinking about, this has been such a horrible year. We lost a lot of great people. And just do like an interfaith ceremony on the common. And just, with all the different pastors, all the people that we lost this, last year that didn't have services. It wouldn't really be us. Jack, I was going to tip you off for Karen about this, but we could tie it in with the concert. Just a healing concert. So I'll let you talk to, I was going to email Karen today and say, she's the only person I know. I don't really know the St. Anthony's guys yet, even though that's my church.
When Peter was talking, I was thinking of the parking lot next to the circus there. They should flood that and make a big skating rink all winter long. Thing is empty anyway. That's what we ought to go see.
Yeah, I just, and that's, as I mentioned when Jeff asked, Jeff and I talked earlier, a street hockey rink is, I think, more popular right now, and it helps support the hockey program, which has been struggling. that's my 2 cents, is that, dog park, hockey, inline hockey rink. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't too sure where he was going with the skateboard park in next to Elms Meadow. But then he totally backed, that wasn't where he's suggesting anyways. But as I mentioned, if we get that rink back going again, a warming shed was what was proposed in that exact location, especially when they're knocking down the building in Hingham. So that's all I have.
One topic you didn't cover is, I don't know if you've mentioned this before I came on, but we did talk to Carl, because I had a letter ready to go to Chris about what they've done to our parking lot in the grassed area, that we put in all new grass, and this project on Sawyer Street and all the equipment and stuff that's all over that area. And Carl said, well, he would get the big equipment out because they were done with it. So that happened pretty quickly. But now we want to know who's going to repair all this stuff. That obviously is something for Chris Senior to tell us.
Well, it is not, just let you know, it is National Grid, which I was gonna, he's been good to us. He gave us $500 for the road race. He gives us $500 for the fair. He also, down at that downtown rec center, one of the things that we had to have done was, if you drive by, you'll see the heat, the gas is exposed outside the building. So National Grid, as a favor to us, put new bollards in right next to the building so nobody can drive in and wipe out the gas and blow the building up. So Dennis is good to us, but this is a National Grid project on Sawyer Street. So Jack took a lot of pictures. I have a bunch of pictures of the damage. Unfortunately, when they started bringing the backhoes, which went from 1 to 4, when those things turn around in a parking lot that's already compromised, it carves up the parking lot. So, and not to mention the fact they parked all the equipment right where we want to plant the trees, which, I'm sure there's oil that leaked into the ground. But so, yeah, so Jack, I will put your photos into a one-page document, and I might have this come from you to Chris Senior. And I did talk to Chris about it Friday. And because it's the National Grid project, they'd be responsible for fixing the parking lot. I don't think they'll do the entire thing, but at least they can do the entryway and, where they parked all the equipment. They're packing up right now, so it looks like they're almost done. But it will be our guy that is very generous to us, so I didn't want to hit him up today and say, oh, by the way, you got to fix my parking lot. So, but we'll let Brian Joyce and Chris Senior, work on National Grid to get that done. So
Good. Yeah, it looks bad.
So that's all I have. John McMahon, do you have an open space meeting coming up soon, or?
Yeah, February 3rd, we have another Earth Day. We meet like at least once a month. I mean, I know we were, all competing for the same dollars, but it would be a shame not to tap into Peter's get shit done attitude, because he's he definitely has one, which is admirable.
Yeah. I mean, is there any feedback to John now before that next meeting, or what do you want to? Anybody have any questions?
I have all sorts of questions about the park idea in that little triangle. We'll let more details develop before, I'll weigh in more, I guess, but that's a really busy area, and it's a small area, and you're going to have additional traffic crossing over a street. There myriad safety issues, I think, that would have to be, and it's not just details, right? It can be an issue that we tackle right now and look at, because to me, it's going to be something that's pretty clear and would prevent us from doing a whole bunch of work for nothing. But some of that's just speculative. So that's my feedback so far. But I went immediately to how are we going to have all these little kids scrambling onto 4 really busy roads.
Yeah, I think that whether it's a kids park or whether it's something else, I mean, I mean, again, I'm a Beechwood alumni, so I know how busy that street is. So I guess that didn't jump to mind like it did for you. But
There's
it's-
three sides of that are not really, or I guess two sides, right? That are not in traffic. Like,
Right.
you know, there's no kids running off onto the baseball field. They're going to be in danger, or
Yeah, whether it's a kid's playground or not, I guess is a conversation for a later time. But even if there were 12 new parking spots there and that allowed more people from Cohasset to enjoy Black Rock Beach, and what you do with the triangle is, you know, probably you know, chapters away from being decided. I probably wouldn't say a kids park would be my choice either. But I think there are other ideas that would be worth floating. And again, if we can unlock a part of the town that currently is not really used very much, I think that that's interesting.
yeah, I would totally support the parking lot idea if we could separate those two concepts, because, you know, as I mentioned, I see people riding around all the time during the summer that just aren't able to park and turning around and driving away, and that's a nice beach. So
Yeah, I think I'm probably close to what you're saying too. I think 12 parking spots over there and giving people greater access to that area is a great idea. I think whether it needs a kids playground too, I think is you know, is debatable. But I think there's something there that's worth, you know, playing out the hand.
Todd, I have a question. He was talking about shutting down one road. Which, did I mishear that, or which road is he talking about?
I think he's just talking about that that third side to the triangle that would then, you know, sort of push into where like the parking would come from in that I guess what's now like sort of that overgrown area.
So the park-
I didn't hear all of his talk, but did you mention about a dog park? Similar to what.
I'm not gonna.
Situate.
So Peter's not a super fan of dog parks, and I don't know why. It has come up in open space a few times, and he doesn't. And there are like D. Riley and some others that really think it's interesting. And I even said, you know, dog licenses I think are up 20%. So you could, you know, make a case that there's more dogs than skateboarders. No offense to skateboarders, but you know, so but for whatever reason, that's, you know, he thinks that there are enough options for dog owners to walk their dogs. But then I would say, what do you need a skate park for? Because those kids could just play basketball. So I'm not. I actually think the dog park is something to talk about too. But for whatever reason, he doesn't choose to get behind that.
We should.
Well, that's all I have. Sorry, it's been running late. So
motion to adjourn.
I apologize again for not being here. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it.
No
who
worries.
wants to do the roll call for the adjournment?
Yeah, any second?
I'll second it.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by turning off their Zoom. Now, actually, let's go through the whole thing. Tim Bernica, aye. Allison Bryan,
Aye.
John DiLorenzo,
Aye.
Jeff Hartwell,
All right.
John McMahon.
Aye.
Here we have it. Passes unanimous.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Aye.